Hello, hello, and welcome back to the Pure Nintendo Podcast. This is your weekly dose of all things Nintendo. My name is Gemma, and joining me again this week, I have my two excellent friends. I have Kirk. Welcome back, Kirk.
Good to be here.
It's great to have you. And we have Trev. Welcome back, Trev.
Hey, Gemma. Hey, Kirk. Hey, listeners. I'm excited to be here too.
And just for your guys' information, I do Kirk first just so I don't get it mixed up in my head. So it's just like consistency from my perspective. So don't feel like I'm taking sides, Trev.
I know I'm second on the pecking order. I get it.
It's just easier. Otherwise, I'll confuse myself and say Turk or something. I don't know.
Turk
Yeah.
and Crever.
Yes.
Yeah, Crever doesn't work, but Turk's fine.
Yes.
If we ever do a dual reveal again, we can use that alias.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's been another big week in the world of Nintendo. We had what do you call it? A shadow drop news, at least. A direct happened. There was lots of rumors about a June direct. I don't know. I guess this is the June direct, but it was Donkey Kong Bananza direct that happened. And when I say Bonanza, I feel like I'm putting on an American accent a little bit, like because you say banana, right? I say banana, but I have to say Bonanza. So
Well, if we sing this song, we can say both, right? You say banana, and I say, but I don't know.
banana.
I like to say banana.
Banana. Yeah. Okay.
You sound like the Muppets. Banana.
Banana. Yeah, all right. That's fine.
Yeah. I love that.
I think that's the best compliment I've had all week. You sound like the Muppets. I'll take that.
Yes.
The new
Well,
Muppet Turk.
Yeah. I mean, one thing that stood out in this direct, we'll go through it in detail because there was a lot. It was only, I think, 16 or 17 minutes, but they covered a lot in this direct. But one thing that, speaking of Muppets and, I guess puns, did you guys notice there were a lot of puns? Like Bonanza, I suppose, is a bit of a play on words there with banana and Bonanza. But like vanadium gems and there was an elevator or something. It's like there's puns aplenty, I think. Yeah. Anyway, we'll get to that. But yes, you guys watched the direct, and I guess I want to start with our overall thoughts because especially maybe Trev, I don't know, because this seems more like your game to me, but correct me if I'm wrong, Kirk. When Donkey Kong Bonanza was first, I guess, announced in that April direct at the very, very end, I was like a tiny bit disappointed because it wasn't Mario. But I did think it looked good, and I have been looking forward to it. I didn't expect a full-on direct for it, but my levels were, excited. But this direct, I think, has pushed me even further, and I would like to know if you guys feel the same way and what you're generally feeling for this game now because, yeah, they covered a lot and they showed a lot, and it's just a very busy, deep-looking game. Like, there's so much going on with it. So, Trev, did you have thoughts on the game now that we've had this kind of deep dive?
Yeah, I thought the direct was great. I think I mentioned before on the podcast that I was, well, much like you, I was bummed it wasn't a Mario game.
Mm.
But also, like when they were showing off like treehouse footage, I'm like, is this like Donkey Kong in Minecraft land?
Yeah.
I feel like it's going to get old, breaking the blocks, and I knew there had to be more to it, but first impression is really what I had to go on, and I was kind of lukewarm on it. And Justin actually made an interesting point when we were online playing Mario Kart. We were talking about it a bit, and he said, yeah, I kind of hear that, but at the same time, it's a 3D Donkey Kong, so I'm going to get it for that. And that's kind of where I was. I'm like, yeah, I'll get it because it's the new game, and hopefully it'll be decent fun. But boy, after this direct, I I don't know why they didn't lead off with this because this knocked it out of the park. I thought it was great. Probably the best individual game direct that I can remember. Certainly better, I think, than the Mario Kart one.
Yeah.
And not that Mario Kart's not a great game in its own right, but I thought they just knocked it out of the park in a lot of ways. And yeah, I went from kind of low hype to now, ooh, could this be my game of the year type of thing? Which isn't really good. I don't want to oversell it because I haven't played it, but yeah, that's how good it looked to me.
Yeah, I love that. I agree. Kirk, you have any initial thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I'll agree with you guys that I think the direct did a good job of showing it off. It's
Mhm.
without trying to sound negative at all, because I'm not. It's just not my style game, so I don't think
Mm.
it exactly won me over. But looking at it, I thought this is very much the type of game where if my kids wanted it and got it and were playing it, I'd watch it, pick it up, start playing it too, and have some fun with it. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that sounds good to me. I love that.
Yeah,
Yes,
I think
I
that's a good endorsement for a game that's not really your style.
yeah,
Hopefully you'd still play it.
absolutely. And I completely agree with you, Trev. I think for an individual game direct, it was yeah, it was great. It just had so much going on. Excuse me. There was no, downtime or questionable moments. It felt like they packed a lot in. And I don't know what it was about the Mario Kart World Direct. It wasn't bad, but it just didn't feel as fulfilling to me. And I think that was the reaction from a lot of people. And we spoke about it on the show a few weeks ago, obviously. But yeah, this one definitely ticked all the boxes. So we'll go through
You
some
know
of
how
them.
I knew
Yeah.
it was good?
How?
Because a lot of times with the direct, I'll watch it with like my laptop open. 'Cause I'll be taking notes because I know we're gonna either talk about it on the podcast, have an article on the site, have a spread in the magazine,
Mm.
and I'll be taking notes while I watch it, and I'll be pausing it. For this one, after the first minute, I stopped writing anything, and I just watched it all the way through. And I'm like, I'll rewatch it later and take notes because that's how much I
Yeah.
was enjoying it.
Oh my gosh, you know what? I did the same thing because I take the notes as well, and I watched it twice because the first time I'm like, "You know what? I just need to watch this." Yeah, same. Very cool, love that. Yeah, so let's go through some of the highlights, I suppose, from us because, yeah, there was so much discussed, from the very beginning when we discovered that the little rock companion, Odd Rock, was actually young Pauline, which was a nice surprise to see Pauline return, but in I guess, a younger age bracket. I think I saw online. I didn't follow up with this, but they've said what age she actually is in the game, but I didn't actually look to see what it was.
13.
13. Did you see? Thank you. I should
Yeah.
have done that. Yeah, there you go. That sounds about right. And so she's going to help Donkey Kong. She needs to get home by reaching planet core, I guess. And he's trying to get bananas or the vanadium, whatever it is, these golden bananas that are discovered on Ingot Isle. And I guess, talking about the look of it, for one thing, because the scenery changes, they said on every level. There's some really nice designs in there. Very, very different for each level as well. Like we've got the snowy one, the beach looking one, there's a green foresty type of one, and some kind of orange or red lava level. I think it just looks beautiful to me. And this came much later in the direct, but I wanted to bring it up early because it said you can game share on your Switch, your original Switch. How? How does that work with the graphics? Do you guys
And
know?
why did they not advertise that earlier?
Yeah.
Because, like,
Yeah.
I'm thinking, like, Justin, he just sold his Switch OLED. And I'm like,
Yeah.
man, you were excited about Donkey Kong. If you had known, would you have hung on to it? So, like,
Mm.
you and Katie could be playing, in bed or whatever, It's like, I feel like that's a huge feature.
It is.
And it's got to be what, some type of like streaming thing? Because, like, the Switch obviously doesn't have the specs to, like, to fully run it. I don't know
Yeah.
how it works. I'm intrigued though, and I wonder if that's gonna be a thing, like with games down the line.
Yeah, exactly. I just don't know how that works. I guess it scales it down and, yeah, streams it somehow. So is it just yeah. It's very interesting.
I
I
don't know. Does Kirk have an idea? Because I really don't know how it works.
No, yeah, that whole thing struck me as odd. I wasn't even sure exactly what they meant initially by it.
Mm,
So I'll be curious to learn more. Sure.
mm. Yeah, me too. I think a lot of people will. It does beg the question, as Trev said, will other games have that feature?
Because
Maybe.
you think of it like early in the Switch life, like sometimes they'd come out with the Switch version, and then 3DS would get a version, and
Mm,
obviously it'd be different, because it's more modest hardware, but they'd have two releases.
mm.
In the case of Donkey Kong, could they have done two releases, or is the
Yeah.
game just too graphically intensive where they thought this was a better? better way. Yeah, I think of those who have flipped their switch, or and I feel like that could be a selling point. I really do, because I have my Switch 2 docked in the living room, but like if Jen and I want to play Donkey Kong in bed, I don't feel like unplugging the dock and dragging it in. And it's like, yeah, just grab the Switch and we'll boot it up and play for an hour or two until the battery dies. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good point. I don't know. And I wasn't sure if it was the whole game could be played that way or just a part of it. I assume it's the whole thing, or they would say, because there was that little writing at the bottom and I paused it, but it didn't say anything about part levels or anything like that. It was more about you have to stream it from a Switch 2. I think was the fine print. You can't stream it from a Switch 1 because it's not a Switch 1 game. But yeah, it's a really good point, Trev. I don't know. We'll see. It seems like it could have been maybe a Switch 1 game, but scaled down, obviously. I think it's maybe going to be that intensity of his bashing and digging, and maybe that's just too much for the Switch hardware to handle, frame rate wise. I don't know. Because it looks
Yeah,
like
there are a lot of frame rate. I don't know the word to describe them, but there are a lot of
yeah.
people who are focused on frame rate, for lack of a better word, and they'd probably rip it if it
Yeah.
was inconsistent, dipping
Mm.
from 30 to 20 or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And there was so much going on, I love that he's got the ability to sort of climb over everything. He can obviously run and jump, but he can climb all over the place. It looks like it's going to be very there's going to be a lot of exploration. It's going to be a huge part of this game. Donkey Kong's going to have to look around these levels and find all the collectibles, these golden bananas, everything else. We'll get to collectibles a bit later. But everything, well, they said almost anything can be smashed, crushed, and bashed. But it's like you smash the enemies, the walls, the ground, almost anything you get your hands on. I think it just looks fun, honestly. And Hayden's watching it with me, the direct, and he's like, I really want to play this game.
Does that slow things down though? I mean, if you could just destroy the entire terrain,
Mm.
you, is that going to like kill the momentum because you're too busy busting up stuff that normally you just get to run past in order to find something? Like if you're an explorer, you could just do that for
Yeah.
hours.
Yeah, exactly.
Destroy the entire. Oh, you know what? That brings up one other thing I want to mention real quickly.
Sure.
Does this remind anyone else of like Kong in Hollow Earth from the Legendary series? Kong's
uh,
going down these portals
yeah.
into like the middle of the earth, like they did. He's got this young lady companion riding on his shoulders, like they've done in the various King Kong movies, or
Ah,
or
uh-huh.
the other ones. It's again, I'm grasping at straws and basically just looking for an excuse to bring up Godzilla. But I was struck by the similarities of him going through these portals into these like Middle Earth. I don't mean Middle Earth is in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Middle of the Earth
I am so
environments.
confused.
Um, I didn't mean to get us off on a tangent
No,
there, but
I think
let's get back.
it does look like a cartoony version of that. I would agree with that. Yeah, sure. Like almost what do you call it? Like, yeah, an older Earth that's made of rocks and it's, before mankind kind of thing, whatever it is. I don't know. Yeah, it
Is
could be.
Nintendo going to start the Nintendo Monsterverse?
Yes, maybe. Maybe. Yeah. I mean, there's, later on they talk about the special powers that the DK has. So, and that one of them is called Kong, isn't he? I think Kong Bonanza or something. Is that right? I thought he was meant to
Uh,
be like King Kong, kind of. I don't know. I mean,
yeah,
King
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean,
Kong, Donkey Kong.
originally.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's not meant to be a donkey. So,
Yeah, exactly. So he can also dive, punch into the ground, which looks really satisfying. I think, to your point, Kirk, I think it's going to depend on your play style. Like some people are going to want to, like how they showed that clip where it's like there's a huge mountain and you could just destroy it all if you wanted to, right? And some people will love to do that. To me, it's like Dig Dug, but like 3D.
I appreciate that reference. Yes.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
there's going to be a lot of videos shared on social media where people are just doing such random things and find something awesome and then
Yeah.
sharing it, and then
Yeah.
everyone's going to be doing like, they pick up their controllers and do the same thing.
Yeah, because I assume um, it's gonna be the same for everyone. Like, if there's a treasure chest in a mountain somewhere, it'll be the same for you and for me. It's not randomly generated, right? So,
Hmm.
hmm, yeah. So there'll be lots
I
of secrets.
suspect it's going to be a replay uh, factor because I'm guessing more people than not on their first playthrough are probably going to want to play it to advance and learn
Mhm.
more about the story and see more of these unique locations. But I bet on replay for completionists, that's where like, okay, now I want to smash everything in sight until all that's left is that base layer of gameplay playing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And maybe there'll be some type of a counter like, oh, you're at 97% completion or whatever,
Mm.
and
Mhm.
what did I miss? So I think that's going to be a compelling replay factor for when you first
Yeah.
after you first beat it.
Well,
Yeah.
will you be able to go back as you're playing the first time to do things, or is it once you advance to another area, you're done on that one, and whatever
Oh,
you missed, you missed?
that's
Well,
a
I
good
think I
question.
think that's what those elevators were, right? Did they not take you back and forth to different levels? That's what I thought they did.
Hope so. Yeah, because if they didn't, then boy, yeah, it's
Mm.
like buyer's remorse. If like I don't smash it now.
Yeah, because even Hayden asked that when we were watching it. He's like, "How do you get to a different level, like,
Yeah,
after
that's a
you
good
finished it?"
question.
I'm like, "Oh, I don't know," and then they kind of answered it, I think. I think it's those teleports and elevators. I don't know why they're eels. Why are there eels in Donkey Kong Land? I don't know. I don't know, but they're there. I did love, that Rambi is there at some point. You know, Rambi the rhino.
Yeah.
I love Rambi. I don't know why. I just love Rambi.
I'd never
I
even seen him before. Or
Really?
yeah,
He's
what's he?
from Don
Well, keep in mind I haven't played a lot of these games very deep, especially. So
Oh, he's from Donkey Kong Country
okay.
series. Yeah, and there's all these little animals you can unlock. There was what, an ostrich, a Rambi, and
Mm.
the fish. What do you call the little swordfish guy? I
Although
don't.
the returns games don't have as many animals as the original
No.
SNES trilogy, so
Yeah, that's true. Mm.
um, yeah, it's nice to however many they have. Although it looks like I don't know if I'm jumping ahead, but like, how's it going to work with DK's like transformations? Like, why like ride an ostrich when you can transform into one or what? Like,
Mhm.
I'm not sure how I feel about that.
True. I do want some more information about the transformations as well, um, because they said it's timed. Like, you can only do it for a certain amount of time. You can switch between them, which is great. Like, you can be a zebra Kong, and then you can be your ostrich Kong and fly. Great. But what if you just want to be zebra Kong for like a second, run over a thing, and then switch back to normal DK? Can you do that? Because they didn't really show that. Or do you have to use up all your whatever the currency is that makes you transform? Was it the coins or something? Do you have to use up all of that and then? Oh, it's Banana G. It's another pun. Banana G. Do you have to use it all up so that then you have to start from the beginning? Collecting,
I'm
yeah. Does that make
hoping
sense?
I'm hoping you could flick it off. Like,
Yeah, I think I'm assuming you can, but I just don't know. I don't know. That's a question I
because
have.
I don't think it would make sense if you couldn't. That'd be like in Zelda, like if you take out your paraglider, then
Yeah,
you have to have it out until like your stamina runs to zero or
yeah,
something.
yeah.
I feel like it wouldn't make gameplay sense.
Yeah, I agree. But I'm thinking and hoping that that is the case for me.
Mm.
Yes, but it's back to the smashing, and the moves, I guess, because we've got the dive punch, the roll forward. I like that there's a hand slap because that's very Donkey Kong Country. You know how he does the slap on the ground and it kind of gets rid of enemies or whatever? I think that was nice. In fact, Trev, did you notice the music throughout the trailer? Because it seemed like there was a lot of Donkey Kong Country tunes referenced.
I did. I. It's funny you say that. I don't know if it's on our list notes, but well, I'll just say it real quick.
Sure.
When Grant Kirkhope, who did the DK rap,
Mhm.
he's like, "Wait, is that the DK rap I hear?" And yeah,
Yeah.
surprise to him, and he's the one who did it. And um, yeah, I guess I don't know. Nintendo has an issue with crediting, but well, that's a story for another day. Yeah, I like the embracing of the classic tunes, and especially obviously from the original trilogy is probably going to hit the nostalgia notes the most. But even
Mm,
from Donkey Kong 64, because that was the only other 3D Donkey Kong game, and that's 25 years old.
wow. That's crazy when you think about it, isn't it?
Mm,
Mm. Yeah, I did hear that DK rap at some point. I think there's another collectible which is records because you can go to that relaxation area and chill out. I thought you might
yeah,
appreciate that there's that music player. So,
absolutely. Isn't
yeah.
that where? Again, I'm not sure if I'm getting ahead. Isn't that where they we caught a glimpse of Diddy? Was he by that?
Ooh, was he?
I
I
feel
don't
like
know.
he was by some extra. Maybe it wasn't the maybe it was like a store, but I feel like we caught a glimpse of Diddy by one of those little extra like
Ah.
areas.
Well, the only time I saw Diddy in the direct was was he was riding Ramby at some point. Just in a
Hmm.
montage towards the end, there
See, I
was
need to rewatch it again.
you need a third time, yeah.
Yeah, third time's a charm.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Um, yes, but there's gosh, there's so much to it, and that's what makes it, I get, so fun and interesting because this game looks like it's way deeper than I expected, I suppose. You know, even with the digging and you can actually tear off bits of the mountain or whatever. You can throw it. There's turnips for some reason. I don't know what they do for you, but that reminds me of Mario Mario 2.
Got to finish the turnip.
Where did that come from? That saying.
Um, I defer to Kirk on that one.
Okay.
Well, we don't need to go into the
Okay.
history of the radish.
The
It
One day
works
radish.
with
we'll
all
yeah,
root
one day we'll explain
vegetables.
it. It's based on a true story. I'll leave it at that.
Okay. I always think of a nice cool glass of turnip juice from The
Oh,
Simpsons.
from The Simpsons.
Shelbyville's turnip tree.
Yeah, what was that
Which,
Lemon of Troy?
yeah, such a good episode.
Awesome episode.
Yeah. But you can even tear off part of your enemies, which is
Yeah,
like,
it's kind of
wow.
sick.
Yeah, I know, right? You can rip them off and then hit them with themselves. It's like that thing, like rip off someone's arm and then whack them with their own
Yeah.
arm.
Like Stubbs the Zombie. Did you guys ever play Stubbs the Zombie?
No.
I've not. I've heard of it.
Yeah, yeah, look that one up. You can tear zombie parts off and use them against them. Even
Well, with the
control
name
them. Like,
Stubbs, I'm already picturing.
Oh my gosh. No, I've not heard of that.
Uh,
Um, a chunk jump. So you can use, I guess it's interesting that you can use these pieces of the earth, like mountains, rocks, whatever you want to call it, in so many different ways. You can swing them, you can chuck them, you can ride them as well. Like, yeah, like a turf surf, I think they called it. Ride around on the rock. You can throw the softer material, like the more sandy rocks. It probably has a more scientific name than sandy rocks. You can throw it and it kind of sticks, and then you can build it up and make like bridges or whatever.
oh,
Yeah.
just like Tears of the Kingdom.
That really did remind me of Tears of the Kingdom, honestly. It just looked like it. I'm like, huh,
I
yeah.
don't want to build my own bridges in video games. Let's make that clear.
Well, if you can be the ostrich Kong, you won't have to. You can just fly.
Is that on
Presumably.
purpose that they use the ostrich, the flightless
I
bird,
think so.
to
'Cause
fly in?
yeah.
Because I dig that. I like that. The
Yeah.
ostrich finally gets his due. His dream comes true in
Yes.
Donkey Kong Bananza.
Exactly. They did make a point that you can be an ostrich that
uh,
can actually fly. Yeah.
I like that, Kirk. It sounds like you're ending the direct. Like the ostrich dream comes true when Donkey Kong Bonanza launches on your Nintendo Switch 2,
I'd
July.
have to speak with a little more energy. I couldn't do a Nintendo Direct narrator because I don't have that much verve.
Oh, they do. They have so much, yeah, enthusiasm, don't they? The voiceover. They're very excited. Very delivering those puns so
Yeah.
excitedly. So yeah, we've spoke about music a little bit in terms of the tunes and the music player, but Pauline also there's a whole music element to the story, right? And Pauline can sing, which I guess kind of harkens back to Mario Odyssey, right? Like she was singing on the rooftop at that nightclub, whatever it was. Is that
Oh
where that?
yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, when I think of Odyssey music, the first
Mm.
one that comes to mind is "Jump Up Superstar,"
Yeah.
which is Pauline's tune, and um, yeah. So to me, it makes. You know what? Just it's funny with Pauline,
Mm.
and we're going to talk about her a bit more. But did you guys ever realize? Because I never did until I was perusing some websites. How much some people are invested in Donkey Kong lore. Like you would think this was a Zelda game because people are like, wait, how can Pauline be 13 if in Odyssey she was a full grown adult? And does this mean Donkey Kong is like going to be Cranky Kong or is it like a multiverse Donkey Kong? And I'm like, seriously? Like who cares about that? Don't get me wrong. If you find that entertaining, I'm not knocking it, but I just find it so odd because I've never cared about that, and I can't imagine Nintendo cares a lick about Donkey Kong lore. But
I think
there
I
are people that
saw.
are invested.
Yeah,
I think I
right.
saw that they responded. Again, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure I saw something where Nintendo basically reached out and said there is no Donkey Kong lore, and that was the end of the statement.
Oh
That's the end of
man,
that chapter. Yeah.
Yeah, you like Trev said, you guys have your fun, but don't get mad at us if it's too hard to place people where you need them to be.
Yeah. Well, I think to me, it's like what they said about Mario years and years ago. They said it's like Mario and his, his friends and or even the enemies, just the whole Mario verse, the Mushroom Kingdom characters. Each time they're in a game, it's like I think they said it's like a play. It's like they're acting, So
mm,
it doesn't really matter if Bowser has kids or if, in terms of timelines and whatnot, whether Princess Peach is young or old or Baby Peach coexists with normal Peach. It's like they're all just having fun in their own little world and playing these games together kind of thing, which I thought was really cute. So maybe Donkey Kong's the same way. I hadn't even thought about that, to be honest, with the Pauline situation. So
uh, take a cursory look, Gemma. It will give you a chuckle. I
yeah.
could not believe it. At first, I thought everyone was being sarcastic, and then the more I kept reading, I'm like, wait, these people are serious.
Wow. Some people, yeah, it gets to them, I guess. Because was she the original uh kidnappee in the original Donkey Kong? Is
Uh,
that
y-
is that Pauline?
yes, with an asterisk. She was
Okay.
originally referred to as just Lady,
Uh-huh.
and then
Mhm.
at some point they either named her Pauline or did a retcon where it was Pauline.
Right.
But
Okay.
originally she was just Lady, and then
Lady.
the lore people are like, we need to know her name. So
And Mario was just Jumping Man, wasn't he, or something?
yeah, Jumpman.
Jumpman. Yeah, Jumpman. Oh my gosh. Oh, that reminds me of something, but I'll save it for later. It's to do with Mario because it's to do with the game I'm playing. Yeah, so Pauline singing, I love that. I love that there's that element. I think this game looks like it just has a lot of life. It has a lot of characters, a lot, and they're going to have a lot of fun with it. They've got these giant elders with these ancient powers that we kind of already mentioned with the Kong Bonanza, the Zebra Bonanza, the Ostrich Bonanza. And these are like, what are they like? Gods or like relics of the past or something? These giant monkey statues, apes. Sorry, they're probably apes, not monkeys. Ape statues that imbue powers to DK as he discovers them or something. And then they've got the Void Company, which I guess is the bad guys. And this reminds me a lot of Mario Odyssey also. What was the group of bunnies called? The bad bunnies in Mario Odyssey. Do you remember? That were
Um,
helping Bowser?
oh, for goodness sakes.
Yeah, no, it's
It's
been a
been
while
so
since I
long
played.
since I played that.
I know, but they gave me those kinds of vibes, like,
I don't
yeah.
remember.
Yeah. There's 3 of them. I think there were 3 bunnies, weren't there? There's Grumpy Kong, Poppy Kong, and Void Kong, and they just have that really, what would you call it? Cartoony bad guy approach to them in terms of villainy. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, which is fine. I like it. I think
Especially, was it the Void one? Was that the last one? I felt like he was
yeah.
the
Yeah.
most expressive, I guess, for lack
Mhm.
of a better word. Like, which I suppose, this new DK is all about being expressive anyway, because they redesigned him. So I guess it makes sense to have
Yeah.
equally expressive enemies.
Oh, the Brutals. I would never have
Well, you know
guessed
what he
that.
looked like, Gemma? I'm sorry, I just
That's
remembered.
okay.
See, this is what happens if I don't jot notes. But I think it was the Void Kong, or
Mhm.
um, looked like Spike from the Gremlins to me.
Oh, yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe when you edit this, you can dig up a side by side like you did last week with
I
Waluigi and
I
Kirk's.
did. I did that. I hope you saw that, Kirk.
Does anyone agree with me? Does anyone else see that, or was it just
I
me?
saw that with the
Okay.
boots,
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
when
Yeah.
the side by side was there, I'm like, oh yeah, I get
yeah,
it.
I can see that.
All right.
I just didn't know
Well,
the dude's name before you mentioned it. Now I've
yeah.
forgotten what it even was, so
Lemmy Killmeister. Rest in peace, Lemmy.
Aw, he's passed. Okay, I didn't know that. Well, Motorhead was an old band, wasn't it? It's been around since 70s, 80s,
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah,
Yeah. Around the, yep.
yeah, yeah,
Wait,
definitely.
the '80s is old.
Showing my age again.
Well,
Oh man,
if he was
nah, you're right.
if he was 20 in the 70s, I guess
Oh man,
he'd be 70 now or something, right? So who knows? Anyway, we digress. We love to digress on this show. Um, yeah, so I agree with that analogy there, Trev. So the boss fights look pretty intense, and I guess at some point you'd be fighting this void company, but they didn't really show that per se, I don't think. But they did show some pretty impressive boss fights. Just very high level, quick little interludes, but they look really good. And these obviously seem to be the end of the level or whatever you want to call it, that area where you open these sinkholes, I think they were called, that opens the next level of this underworld, which is pretty cool. So these boss fights, yeah, they look pretty challenging. So, and I think these boss fights might be where the Switch One wouldn't handle it as well, because they're really
maybe.
big bosses. They seem to move really fast. You're swinging this rock around and having to grab pieces of your enemies. Again, stops the zombie. Um, yeah, but did you see the ruins? Because I think that's where you maybe discover these ancient powers, from my understanding. These ruins are sort of side challenges from what I could gather. And they had things like side scrolling, which looked very Donkey Kong Country, with the mine cart and stuff like that.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm, that looked really neat. I think that
Yeah, I
was
like how they have a throwback because it's barely a throwback because Donkey Kong Country Returns HD came out early this year. So, but I mean, if this
yeah,
is the
yeah.
new Donkey Kong, if this is the new design in 3D is the new approach for the immediate future, I like that they had a nod to his 2D roots.
Yeah, me too, honestly. Was that only this year? Gosh, I thought it was last year in my head for some reason.
Yeah, it was what
Yeah,
January, so 6 months ago.
yeah. It seems like a long time ago. Yeah, and I guess Mario kind of does the same thing with the 3D games that have a little 2D portion in it, just as little side adventures or quests, or even just part of the solving a puzzle or something. And I love that. So I think it's really nice that DK is also following that trend, and everyone loves, Donkey Kong's platforming adventures are very popular, and there's that nostalgic value, like you said. So yeah, very nice to have that included at some point, but not relying on it. It's not a 2D game at all. It's 3D, just with a few 2D elements. I like also that you can unlock skills as you progress. You can increase your health, your power, your sonar. Immediately, I was like, I want to increase my power so I can smash those rocks faster. Yeah. But then the sonar looked really handy where you can detect treasures. That also seems pretty useful. So I don't know if you had
See,
a
but
thought.
then you won't want to smash everything in sight because you'd be like, why bother? There's
Mm,
nothing there. So unless they
true.
have like a point system or something, but I don't know how that would work.
Do you think, I don't know, you mentioned Tears of the Kingdom earlier and we've talked about Dig Dug. Do you think it's a little bit like chopping the grass in Zelda games? Like smashing the rocks? Like there's a rock formation that's above the ground. Am I just going to want to smash it to just level the area, just like I would want to cut the grass in a Zelda game? Do you know what I
Hmm.
mean?
That's a good question. See, in Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, for that matter, I feel like I didn't cut the grass as much as classic
Mm,
Zelda
same.
because
Yeah.
like rupees weren't as much of a thing. So,
Mm.
um, yeah, I don't know, but I'm sure there's probably some clever designs where the terrain is set up in such a way where you're like, "Oh, I need to smash that." Something there,
Yeah,
like
like some kind of visual cue, like when you're looking for Korok seeds and you see like rocks in a formation in the water, you're like, you know what, if I dive in the middle of that,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yep.
Like, it's begging for it. You just
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I love that. So skill points look really cool. I love that you can, yeah, increase powers and things like that. I love the costumes. I think you'd be crazy not to have costumes. That's a very Mario Odyssey thing too. And my other son, Harrison, was watching this with me as well, and he's like, "This game just looks like Mario Odyssey."
Well,
And
that
it's
was
not.
the rumor, right? That it was maybe what the
Mm,
Odyssey developers were working on, and I
yeah.
wasn't sure what to think of it. But now that I've seen, some of these like levels and whatnot, I'm like, ooh, that makes sense because they even joked, right? Like when they were saying like the game's underground, and then they're showing all these worlds, and they're like, some of them don't really look like they'd be underground. And I'm
No.
like, you're right, they don't.
No.
But I love it.
Yeah, like, how is there a sky and a beach? But anyway, we'll just
Defies physics.
I
Well,
had the same question watching the Godzilla movies.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. We'll just have to ignore that. Ignore physics for this adventure. But yeah, I do love the costumes. I love a good costume. I wondered, oh, I wonder if you can change DK's color, and then you can, which is, I don't know. I think it's cool. You can make him purple. It just seems like a neat feature to me. It's so small and minor, but I love that ability. And even that it has an effect on, like, the costumes can have an effect on your abilities. I think it was like if you're wearing a swimsuit, you can swim 15% faster or something like that. I think that's a nice little addition. Although then it makes me like, well, I want him to wear his like classic DK outfit, for example, with his tie or I think it was naked on the selection screen.
Go real classic naked.
Yeah, yeah. And then, but like, oh, can you just change on the fly then? Can you just change at any point in the game and just be like, okay, I need to swim, so I'm going to put my swimsuit on to go a bit faster here, which I
Maybe
guess.
they'll take a nod from Mario Kart and he can go to a drive-through and get a costume change right there.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yes. So that I guess we talked about the ruins with the challenges, and I think, if I'm remembering this correctly, the treasure chests that you can find have maps in them, and the maps show you the location of things like the ruins, or maybe they show you the banana, whatever those bananas were called. But anyway, the treasure chests exist. They have little maps, which is neat. Um, we've talked about the music players, which is another cool feature, and the eels, the elevators,
Yeah.
and the
Please,
teleport.
Nintendo, for music player, give us the option, even if it doesn't unlock till after we beat the game,
Mhm.
to mix and match music. Like if I want to play through a level and just hear like aquatic ambiance from David Wise over and over on a loop, let me do that. Just give me that option.
Yeah. It's like we talked about with Mario Kart World, the free roam seems like it's begging for a music
Yes.
player, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm. So that's missing, I think. Especially like you're driving a car, you're on a road trip, you just wanna put your music on. That's just how it works. Yeah.
Mm.
So what do we think about the co-op mode? Because you can play with 2 people. Second player can control Pauline, and she kind of, I think, sings or shouts or whatever, and the words become like an attack, which is pretty powerful. My kids were like, "Whoa, that's really OP."
Kids sound like mine.
Yes, yes. What did you guys think of that? I mean, it's nice to have. Do you think it's, will we use it? Will you guys use it?
I'm a fan of the kind of co-op where someone who really knows what he or she is doing is able to do it.
Mhm,
And then you have like a companion who's not as important, but still gets to play and make an impact on it.
mhm.
That's kind of the feeling I got with Pauline. I mean, it's not like two up where, they're each equally powerful and doing their own thing. It's just Pauline's a companion. If that's the case, then I think that's a good idea. It opens it up so that hardcore players can play with, or more experienced players can play with younger or less experienced players, and both have a great time doing it.
Nice. Yeah, that makes sense. It reminds me a bit of, what does it remind me of? I
Is
guess,
it Pikmin 4?
yeah, Pikmin 4, that's it,
That's what it
yes.
reminded me of
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
when
the
I
turret.
saw it. I do kind of agree with Kirk. I can picture like maybe playing this game with my nephew. Um, maybe in a year or two when he gets a little more uh, dexterous, a little more dexterity.
Yeah.
But it reminded me of Pikmin 4, which initially I didn't think I would like because I'm like, that looks kind of just mindless. But in practice, I had a blast just flinging pebbles at the enemies. And it was like, I'm like, wow, that's more fun than I expected. And I imagine it's going to be similar with this game.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's definitely a good feature to have to add in, and I think yeah, Nintendo seems to do it a little bit with even Bowser Jr. was a little bit like this in Mario 3D or Bowser's Fury, I suppose the extra companion game to Mario 3D World. A little bit more freedom with Bowser Jr. because you could fly around, but he couldn't really do everything Mario could. He could just kind of paint with his magic paintbrush. A little bit like that too. But yeah, definitely Pikmin 4 vibes for sure, which is cool. So yeah, that's neat. And then I guess there's a couple more things which, first of all, the DK artist mode, which I saw not a spoiler exactly, but I saw I saw someone post about this before I'd watched the direct. I'm like, what? What is this? But it's just like another little relaxation kind of area. I think if you want to just wind down, you can customize you can sculpt really, can't you? So you can sculpt anything. I thought it was just you had to have the head of Donkey Kong and you could paint it. But then they showed people changing it. You can grow it or just demolish it. You can make anything you want. There's Bowser head, a Mario head, all sorts of random things. I don't know how much time one would spend in the artist mode. Me, I guess, in particular, but maybe look, people. I think this is another example, Kirk, of people posting all sorts of things on social media that they've created. Did you
Or
have
maybe
any?
things they shouldn't be
Yeah,
creating.
maybe. Is there a some sort of censor on that? I didn't even think of that. But I wonder, did you guys think of anything in your head like, oh, I'd like to make this kind of thing?
I did not. I
No.
didn't go that far.
I didn't
Trev?
think about making anything, but
Hmm.
I do think it'll be a fun chance to kind of get a feel for the mouse controls.
Yeah,
Because I
true.
was imagining, like, if this was, say, like a 3DS game or something, I
Hmm.
might have fun poking around with the stylus, making something.
Yeah.
Maybe the mouse can do a similar effect. And I don't think this is a mode that's going to demand a whole lot of attention, at least from me, but I think it'll be fun just to kind of get a feel for it in a relaxed setting.
Yeah, it's almost like a mini game in a way, but without a specific goal. You can just it's a free mode really, isn't it? And
I'm
I
so
think
glad you said that, Gemma.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
this they didn't really show a whole lot of like mini games, but
Mm,
I'm throwing this out there. DK64 had some great mini games,
yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
hoping that there's some nods to them because we had a blast, like 4 player. Think back to like N64 co-op where it's like
Mm.
GoldenEye or something like that. There were a lot of fun mini games in that, so I'm hoping we see something else like that with Bonanza here.
Yeah, I'm sure because this direct covered so much. It's almost like when you watch a movie trailer to a movie you already want to see and you're like, "No, I don't want to watch this trailer. It's giving away too much. I just want to go in blind." This is almost like that with this direct. I think it was a great direct and it's definitely got me excited. But I'm sure there's more we haven't seen because they're not going to give us everything. Otherwise, where's the surprise, right? So
You
yeah.
reminded me of one other thing.
Yeah?
Did you guys know before you watched the direct that little rock was going to be Pauline?
No? Did you?
Okay, I didn't either.
No.
Did you, Kirk?
I had spoilers because people were talking about Pauline early. So when they were showing a rock, I kind of figured, well, either that's her or the rock, gets thrown away. Pauline comes in and chucks it and says, now it's my turn.
Okay, because I didn't have an inkling of that, and it's funny. I was browsing the Nintendo site, and they're like the worst kept secret. Everybody knew, and I'm like, did they? I'm like, don't assume that everybody loves seeking out spoilers. A lot of
Yeah.
us like to be surprised.
Yeah.
And I get some people are impatient, or sometimes you find out by accident, right? Because somebody
Mhm.
posted on Blue Sky or whatever. But yeah, I was glad I didn't know because I was genuinely surprised, and it was a highlight of the direct. So, um, Yeah, that's all I got to say.
Yeah. No, I agree. Definitely. Yes. Well, the last thing was a new amiibo, which I'm very excited about and I will be getting. So, yeah, I love that amiibo is still a thing. I love that there's a new amiibo. I wish we had have got some new amiibo for Mario Kart. That's okay.
Can your wallet afford it? Because at least, yeah, I mean, it probably hasn't affected you as much, but here, Amiibo are $29.99.
Yeah, I don't know what it is here because they were 29.99 Australian before. So I don't know. Maybe it'll be 35. I'm not sure. I haven't checked the price actually. That's a good question.
Because you bought all the
Yeah.
Zelda ones, though, right? Like, were
I
they?
did. I got the 4 new ones. They were the same price, I believe. They were 29.95 or whatever. Yeah, they were
Oh,
29.95 Australian. So that's
yeah.
whatever 20-ish American, I guess. Yes, they hadn't gone up in price from my
Yeah.
understanding.
Amiibos here are feeling the tariffs.
Yeah, see, that's no good. Hmm.
This is why it pays to be a fan of these more fringe games and third party games like I am, because they don't get amiibo. So I don't need to worry about it.
Yeah. You just want your Fire Emblem
Yeah,
amiibo. Yeah.
Fire Emblem and Xenoblade. I got all the
Oh,
Xenoblade
yeah, of
Chronicles games now.
course.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, no, I'll
the
definitely get the
the
Switch.
100 line is not getting any amiibo. Unicorn Overlord, no amiibo.
No, they would have been cool though. I would have liked to
Oh,
seen
it would have
those.
been. Yeah,
Yeah.
geez.
No, I just love that any amiibo is compatible with this game. You get giant rocks of different descriptions, bomb rocks and all sorts of things, depending on the amiibo. I think Donkey Kong specific amiibo give you something special, and of course the new one does as well. I can't remember what it was now. Sorry, I didn't write it down. Maybe Trev did.
I did not, but you reminded me of yet another thing um, that I forgot to mention last week. I actually do have a new Amiibo,
Oh, cool. What is it?
and believe it or not, it is a Donkey Kong one, but
Oh.
it's a Donkey Kong slash. It's an Amiibo slash Skylander. It's
Ah. Mhm.
Dark Donkey Kong, which was exclusive to Skylander Superchargers on the Wii U, the Dark Edition. Um,
Wow.
yeah, I'll find a picture for you, or you can put one on the thing. But I already had the regular Donkey Kong,
Mhm.
and I'm like, oh, here's the dark one. Now I have both, and the base it just rotates. So if you're playing Skylanders, flip it one way, and it recognizes it as a Skylander. Playing a Nintendo game, flip it the other way, and it shows up as an amiibo. So
That is so neat. Yeah. I
yeah,
didn't
one
even know
more
there
for my
was.
collection.
Yeah, that's so cool. I think I have the Donkey Kong Skylander one, but I didn't even know there was a dark Donkey Kong
Yeah,
one.
he looks
Yeah.
pretty cool. I mean, being dark, it looks a little more intimidating, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Well, anything else on the Donkey Kong Direct, the Bonanza Direct, before we move on to some other news that anyone wants to add from either one of you?
I'm
I
looking
just think
forward to
it's
you guys
cool.
being able to play it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
What'd you say, Trev? Sorry?
I'm hoping Kirk's kids get it, and then it looks so much fun that Kirk plays it with them.
Yeah, yes.
No, I was gonna say I just like being able to climb anywhere. Not that this is especially related, but um, I've been playing Xenoblade Chronicles X, and
Mm.
in lots of it, running around the open world reminds me of like Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom. And then, if I'm on foot and I get to this mountain and I'm like, ugh, I'm like, why can't I just climb this like Link?
Yeah, yes.
So, you
I
know,
know. At
Donkey
least
Kong having that is going to be cool, I think.
yeah, and I'm assuming Donkey Kong won't have the stamina problem that Link has when you're climbing a mountain and you're watching your stamina go down. You're like, "Come on, I think I can make it to the top." And you have to there's that risk versus reward thing where you can jump, but obviously that uses more stamina. So I just wait till I'm really close and then jump right at the end and hope it reaches.
I bet you won't have to worry about rain in Donkey Kong making it slippery.
Yeah. How annoying is that? Have you sat on the side of mountains waiting for the rain to stop? Because I've done
Yes.
that. It's so funny. I love that. Cool. Well, thank you for that discussion on Donkey Kong Bonanza. The game comes out on July the 17th. Listeners, let us know your thoughts if you're excited, what you think about the direct, and anything else related to that game. But let's move on to a piece of news on The Legend of Heroes Trails Beyond the Horizon, which by all accounts is now coming to Switch and Switch 2, which is cool, but it's been delayed. Is that a Kirk item?
Oh, you know it is.
Guess I take a guess.
Yeah, this game, which is supposed to start the final chapter in the highly, I won't say convoluted because it all makes sense, complicated
Mm.
Legend of Heroes series. It was supposed to come out in the fall of 2025, and it was announced for the Switch and other consoles, of course. But now they've announced that it's coming to Switch and Switch 2, so I'm assuming that means two different versions. Um, and it's coming in January of 2026, but the other consoles were also delayed until January 2026. So
Huh.
I don't know if they just decided we're releasing this for everything at once, and since we're now working on the Switch 2, everybody's just going to have to wait, or what happened there. But I think it's great that they're um, going to release a Switch 2 version because these are pretty cool looking games and they've always looked better on the other systems. They're fine on Switch. They always were. But getting a Switch 2 dedicated version, I think, is really going to make the graphics pop. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's brilliant. So
Is
that's
there
a
going to be an upgrade pack too? Like, could you get the Switch one and pay like DLC price to upgrade it, or is it locked to the Switch 2 version?
They haven't said. I don't know that NIS America has done an upgrade or a Switch 2 game yet. So I don't know what their policy on that is going to be.
mm,
I'm sure there will be releases between now and then that may give us a clue, but I don't believe they've officially announced.
Hmm.
yeah, that would be interesting to see which path they take. Definitely the upgrade pack is a good option if possible, but releasing at the
Yeah.
same time also is a bit different to what we've seen with, Sonic, for example, Trev, and Pio Pio, that
Yeah,
were
no.
existing games that didn't get upgrade packs. So, yeah, we'll see. Hopefully they do. I think more options is good for everybody, really.
I
Yeah.
Mm.
think that
Especially since, oh, go ahead, Trev.
I was just going to say, I think the reception will dictate it because I also read an article how some third party like keycard releases didn't meet expectations.
Mm. Yeah,
So
I saw
maybe
that too. Mm.
devs are either going to be like, okay, we need to invest more, or hopefully, or they'll be like, well, we'll stick with PS5 and Xbox. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we don't want the Switch 2 to start missing out because of sales. Um, yeah, it's a tough one, but like, I think the same article or similar articles were saying that Cyberpunk did fairly well, being the only physical, like true physical release.
yeah, on the
Yeah.
cart.
Yeah. Mm. So that's interesting. Hopefully, it does send the right message, and maybe we'll start to get physical releases again. Who knows? But it could also just be a problem of the launch, and maybe people just, I don't know. But people are very put off by the key card game, whatever they're called.
Yeah,
Game key cards. Yeah.
Yeah. And
it
just the
doesn't even
general
roll off the
price of
tongue.
the Switch 2.
Yeah. Mm.
That's
Yeah,
true.
exactly.
I mean, how many games can you afford at launch when you're,
Well, yeah, that's it.
especially like I just got the system, but you guys got pro controllers and
Yeah.
it's like
The
cameras and, well, not
camera,
cart, but
amiibo.
Yeah.
yeah.
Some of the launch title games, I'll be curious to see if they pick up and end up
Mm.
selling pretty well. It's just, the initial launch window, maybe not, but over time, especially, we don't have a whole lot new coming out. Games are trickling out here and there for the Switch too, but eventually people are going to get tired of Mario Kart or Cyberpunk and say, all right, what's next?
Mm, exactly. I mean, the sales in Japan seem to be going very well. I believe, um, what was in the list? I just saw the sales yesterday. Mario Kart World was number 1, of course, and this
Yeah.
was for last week, I guess. Things like Fantasy Life are up there, Rune Factory. But in terms of Switch 2, Rune Factory was number 6. Switch 2 edition of Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild were both in there, as well as Yakuza 0 Director's Cut.
Oh.
Yeah,
Do you
that's
guys
interesting.
know, is
Mm.
there a way to filter the eShop to just see Switch 2? Because right now I'm seeing Switch and Switch 2, which is fine because I, still play Switch, but I was curious to see if I could just find out like what's coming soon on Switch 2 alone. And I couldn't
Mm.
figure it out on the eShop how to do it.
I didn't see it, but I wasn't looking for it. So
Oh, okay.
I'll dig
If
in and
any
see what I can
listeners
find.
know of a way, I'd be curious. And maybe there's not one, and that's just why I haven't found it because it's not there yet.
Yeah, I know on the website you can. because I'm constantly looking for that, for the magazine and stuff.
Yeah.
For like release dates and things, you can easily toggle between, but I don't know that I've seen it on the eShop itself. I did notice that the eShop is a lot faster on the Switch too. You
Oh,
guys, yeah.
yes. Much faster. Good grief.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I was looking through it last night and I'm like, wow, this is so much smoother. It just loads really quickly. When you previously on the Switch, you just go down to the next level and you have to wait for the images to load. It's like, come
Oh,
on.
Yeah, trying to bounce down to where we enter the key codes.
Oh
At this
yeah,
point,
yeah, yeah.
every step is
Yeah.
just
Mhm.
excruciating.
Yeah. So it is much, much better. That is for
Yeah.
sure. Cool. Well, let's move on to some games that we're playing. And I will go first. This week I am playing the Welcome Tour, the Switch 2 Welcome Tour, which is, I guess, a first party launch title for the Switch 2 that's it's been a bit under scrutiny and hasn't really been talked about recently that I've seen. But I did get a code from Nintendo for this. So I'm reviewing it, actually. It's a review game.
thank
And
you, Nintendo of Australia.
yeah, thank you so much. I am actually really enjoying this, to be honest. And I'm a little saddened, I suppose, because I'm really of two minds. I'll say the game is really good. It's actually really fun. It's really well designed. It's cute. It's very Nintendo, and I actually think it's probably worth it's worth the $10 if you wanted to buy it. I would say you're not going to waste your money. It's definitely got enough content to fill quite a few hours. I'm not even finished it. There's at least so the game is divided. It's the tour of the Switch 2. So it's divided into areas like the Joy-Con, the screen, the other Joy-Con, the dock, and they don't number them, they letter them. So instead of like area 1, it's area A. And there's at least L areas. Which what letter of the alphabet is that? Like 12th? Something like that? 14th? What is
Around
it?
there, yeah.
Yeah, which means there's at least that many areas to explore. I've done 2 and unlocked the 3rd. You can't go to so I'm on C right now, which is the other Joy-Con. So it goes Joy-Con, screen, Joy-Con, and I don't really know what's next, but I can see the dock in the background. I can see other things happening. So there's a lot there, and each area you have to find a bunch of stamps to unlock the next area. As well as that, there's insights and quizzes and demos, as in like kind of like a mini game, but not really. It's more like a feature, and it's you get to interact with it. For example, there's one about 4K TVs, and it's these fireworks, and you press the A button, and fireworks go off in the sky, and it's really neat. And you can toggle between 4K. No, is it 4K or it's HDR and SDR? Sorry, you toggle between HDR and SDR and look at the difference. And you can pause it, and it's kind of neat, but it's not really a mini game. That one, it's not called a mini game; it's called a demo. And then there are mini games, and they're really fun. They're really neat. There's one where you have to put the Switch. You have to do it in handheld mode. You put the Switch 2 down flat. There's all these like different colored buttons, and you have to press them, and you have to press and hold 10 at once. So basically, it'll use all of your fingers and thumbs, and it's really hard, but it's so fun. And so
Oh, the
yeah.
touchscreen is going to be full of fingerprints.
Oh, well, you wipe it. It's fine. I didn't have that problem. But yeah, it will be a thing. But you can also, I just called Hayden over. I'm like, Hayden, I can't. I got up to 9. I was really impressed. I did 7, 8, 9. I couldn't get to 10. My finger would slip off one of them or something. So Hayden would come over and help me with that. So
Wait a minute. Is it a co-op game or is it a
no,
solo?
it says you can. These are very light-hearted games meant to be entertaining and fun. It's not like cheating. And it even says in the thing, if you get stuck, why don't you ask a friend to help you? So
Okay.
they're encouraging that. So yeah, it's really good. I think it's really well designed. You can choose from the very beginning. It's like you're lining up to go into a theme park of some sort. It's very Nintendo Land actually in that way. You look like you're going to a theme park. You can scroll. There's like a million people to choose from. They're all random. There's girls, there's boys, there's different skin colors. They're wearing hats. They're not. And you can choose one that looks right for you. You can also change it later if you wanted to. It's just it's really cute. So the thing that makes me sad is that I think it is worth $10, but I still think it should have been a pack-in just because people aren't going to play it at this. That's the problem. I think people should play it, but I don't think they're going to pay $10 for it. And being a welcome tour, it just would make a lot of sense to be there with your Switch 2, because once you've had the Switch 2 for a month or 6 months, whatever, you're not really being welcomed anymore. People are still going to buy a Switch 2 in 2 years and still need to be welcome to it, or 5 years, whatever it is. So I don't think it won't have it still will have its place. But for people who have had the Switch from day one, buying this game in 2 years maybe won't make as much sense. So if it was just there,
Yeah.
people would play it. So I think the reason I'm sad about it is that I just don't think it's going to get the exposure it probably deserves for that reason. So yeah, but it is a lot of fun. I think it's really cool. It reminds me a lot of the 3DS, just in terms of, I don't even know what game it was. There was a 3DS game where like little bob-ombs would fall down and you had to use the stylus to stop them from hitting you or something. It must have been some Mario related thing. But do you remember the 3DS had all these little mini games that would really show off the capability? I'm sorry, maybe the DS, not the 3DS. But the
Mm.
DS, when it launched, because it was a touchscreen, it was very different. Like, using the mouse in these mini games is really fun and addictive, and you want to beat your score and you get medals for doing well, and it unlocks more like harder levels as you go. There's a lot there to do. So I feel like it would be fun if more people had a chance to play it, basically. So yeah.
Well, maybe when they come out with the Switch 2 OLED, they'll bundle it with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, maybe, honestly, I could see it being a pack-in at some point in the future. Maybe it will boost sales a little bit, I don't know, but it is really nice. I have no problems with it. I think it's quite fun. So yeah, that's my story. But yeah, I'll write up a review during the week. I'll keep playing it and discovering what else is there. And the other thing is, the insights are really neat, and the quiz is not hard. This is not meant to be a hard game. They're quite easy, so you feel really good about yourself. You're getting these quizzes correct. You have to read the insights first, but they're not arduous. There's not a lot of text. It's just, did you know how the magnets work? And this is how they work. And I'm like, huh. So the magnets are only on the dock. Sorry, not the dock, the console, not the Joy-Cons. Did you know that? I
I
didn't.
did not.
No. The magnet is in the actual Switch console, and there's a metal piece on the Joy-Con that is the thing that holds to the magnet. So yeah, I'm actually learning a lot. It's actually really neat.
The more you know.
The more you know. Exactly, exactly. So yeah, that's my game of the week, I suppose. My review game for this week. But let's move on to, unless you have other questions, of course. But otherwise, let's move on
Does it
to.
warn you what happens if you get your finger stuck between the magnets?
No, not yet. That has happened to me though,
Oh,
just once.
sorry
I got
about that.
got a bit of a pinch.
It provides like an emergency window. So when it's happened, you're like, oh, boot up welcome tour. I got to get my finger out.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. No, but there is lots of stuff. It does go into the 4K, the HDR, the touchscreen, obviously, the Joy-Cons and the mouse controls. Yeah, like I said, I'm only up to C out of L, so we'll see what else I learn. But yeah, it's cool. But what on earth is Klaus Lee Thunderballs, Kirk?
Funny you should ask that way. That was my thought when I got the press release. It's funny because I've been playing the Switch 2 games that I've been reviewing. I've knocked out 2 of them now, and they're very difficult. And they're very intense, and I thought I need something a little lighter, so I went back to a Switch game for something that's coming out next week. As you mentioned, Klaus Lee Thunderballs. It is as difficult as the Switch 2 games I've been playing, in that it's a platformer.
Mm.
It comes out next week, I think. It you've got to go, readers, go to the eShop and look it up and just read the description of the game. Klaus Lee apparently was a fellow who was all set to become an icon in the 80s and just always seemed to miss out on the various shows and movies, and it's a really cleverly written write-up about why we don't know who Klaus Lee is. But basically, he's a guy with a jetpack, and he's flying around these levels and trying to rescue people, and there are things in his way, and it's your typical 80s 2D action platformer style gameplay, but a lot of fun, at least initially. I got through 5, 6 levels and thought, well, this is easy. And then immediately there was one where the puzzle, it's kind of like you have to first figure out what you have to do in order to get where you need to go. But then you've also got to time it properly. And there are a lot of different um, enemies like spiders and snakes that are coming out at you and trying to prevent your progress. And they do. So yeah, just a lighthearted throwback retro kind of game that looks and plays really, really well.
Cool. Yeah, it does look pretty neat. Yeah.
Yeah,
It looks a
and
little
it
bit
goes
like Spelunker to me. Did you ever play Spelunker?
no.
Oh,
No.
it's got that kind of visual
Yeah,
style.
I
I'm
know
sure
the
it's
game you
better than
mean.
that game.
Hmm.
Yeah.
How long does this jetpack last? Like, can you fly infinitely, or is it just like a timed thing?
No,
Yeah.
and I did not know that. And so there came a point where I wasn't able to really progress. You could pick up see, I didn't pick up any fuel for that yet. So I haven't gotten far enough, I guess, to say whether you do that. You can pick up bombs that you're able to use to blow up obstructions in the way. There are also keys that you're going to find, and he has the ability to shoot lasers out of his eyes to take out enemies and blow some stuff up, but it doesn't go far, at least not yet. Like, let's say if he's, we'll say 6 foot, then he can shoot the lasers 5 foot out of his eyes. So you got to get close to the enemies in order to use it. But so there are some things to manage as you go along, and we'll see how forgiving they are if you end up using too much. Because like the jetpack, I got to use it. It's the only way to get up on certain levels or to cross over uh, bodies of water that, of course, have crocodiles in them. Um, so I'm assuming there's a way to replenish it.
Hmm.
I'll get there and let you know.
Why is he fighting insects and crocodiles and snakes and not like
Because they're in his way.
spiders? They're in his way.
Well, I mean, if you're underground and you're going to be flying around these tunnels, let's say that it's more likely they're going to be populated by spiders and snakes than
True. Makes sense.
enemy agents.
He's got a decent mustache, a very 80s looking
Oh yeah, he's
mustache.
got a
Yeah.
great mustache. Yes, yeah, and
Yeah, I was
the
gonna
name too. Like his name is Klaus Lee, which sounds kind of Asian and German at the same time, but he's got this fiery red Irish hair, so
Yeah.
this guy's a mystery to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you said he shoots lasers from his eyes, I'm like, what does he shoot from his mustache? He's got like the Tom Selleck stash going on.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, it does look Tom
Shamma, do
Selleck.
you remember The Simpsons when Homer was reading what's that Harry Potter knockoff? Angelica Buttons or
Oh, yeah.
something?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Gray Stash was gonna die and he didn't want to make Lisa
Yeah.
sad. So he
Yeah.
makes up a story where the mustache starts like punching people with fists.
Yes.
That's
That's
what
right.
that's what Klaus Lee should do. He should have his mustache boxed with these spiders and snakes.
Yeah.
The game icon on the Switch is literally just the mustache.
But is
That's
it better
cool.
than Waluigi's mustache?
No, because he doesn't remind me of Lemmy Kilmister.
Yes. I like that on the eShop now, it does say if it's compatible. So it does say Nintendo Switch 2 compatibility information. It's supported. So
Yep.
you can play it on your
And
Switch 2.
behavior is consistent with Nintendo Switch. That's a funny way to
Yes.
put it, but yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Are you playing it on your Switch 2? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's your console now. You're just playing on Switch 2.
Yeah, unless I feel there's a reason. Well, I
Mm.
actually do still have the Switch set up. It's still under my name. I haven't deleted anything, so I don't know what happens if I boot that up now.
Yeah. I think it's all still there. Well, that's my
Yeah.
experience. It's all still there. So, yeah. Cool. Well, we look forward to your thoughts on Klaus Lee when that happens.
It comes out June 26th. There's no embargo on the review, so I could have that ready. Yeah, probably maybe by the time this comes out, the review will already be up. So check it out.
Excellent. Thank you. Listeners, let us know if you're familiar with Klaus Lee or the Welcome Tour. If you actually have purchased that and you have played it, I'd love to know your thoughts. If you like it as much as I do, that would be cool. Trev, did you want to quickly talk about Tears of the Kingdom? Or
Yeah, I'll
yeah,
be quick.
sure.
I do I should say I do have a review game. I haven't played it yet, but actually talking about Switch 1 and Switch 2, I'm gonna redeem it on Switch 1, play it for a
Mm.
bit, then transfer it to Switch 2 to see if there's any differences. So
That's a good
That
idea.
should be
Mm.
yeah, that should be fun. But yeah, besides the games I was playing last week, Mario Kart and whatnot, I did go ahead and pay $9.99 to get the Switch 2 upgrades for Tears of the Kingdom.
Cool.
Because I just have the basic online. I didn't have the expansion pack, so
Hmm.
um, that's the same thing I did with those Mario Kart tracks. Actually, I bought them, and then I did end up getting the expansion
Yeah.
thing
Yeah.
for a spell. But this way, if it runs out or whatever, I have it.
True.
Um, I will say I forgot how slow Tears of the Kingdom started. I feel like it took me a long time to get out of the sky.
Oh, so you started
It's,
from the beginning.
yeah, I because it did transfer my save, and originally I was just going to load that up because I was curious how it ran, and then I'm like, you know what? It's on the new system. Let me go ahead and boot it up because it's been a while since I played it, from the beginning areas, right?
Mm. Hmm.
So, yeah, it took me forever to get out of the sky. Um, but I was glad once I did because when you're on the ground, it's when you can really start to appreciate the improvements, visually and whatnot, and even like load times, um, much quicker. So, yeah, I'm a few hours into that. Just I'm not really playing to replay it per se because
Hmm.
I don't feel like I have to. Like I did try the Notes app on my mobile device, but uh, I it's the sort of thing. If it was in game, I would use it a lot,
Mm.
or like if it's on like a Wii U gamepad or something, that'd be
Yeah.
awesome. But I don't want my mobile device there beeping with other notifications because you got to leave the volume up so you can hear the thing, and that gets
True.
annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Um,
think game developers are forgetting that one of the reasons we play games is to get away from our mobile devices and all the
Mm.
nonsense that they bring with them.
Yes.
yeah,
It's a good point.
so I haven't really been able to take advantage of that. I do think the little stories, the lore. I think somebody has them on YouTube if you just want to hear what the voice actors have to say. Because I do think that's interesting. But yeah, the game looks really sharp. I mean, better resolution. It does run smoother. It loads quicker, and I wish I could say I've tackled a dungeon, but honestly, I've wasted far too much time propping up Hudson signs. Um,
Yeah.
I
only
commend
to
you,
have them
good sir.
move. I get this barricade. I'm like, they're not going anywhere, and then it moves an inch, and he's like, ah.
He freaks
I'm
out,
like,
yeah.
I forgot how annoying this was, but I'm still like compelled to keep trying. So,
Is there a
I want
limit?
you to do a speed run of President Hudson signs.
oh my
Get them all done and
goodness,
beat the record for only accomplishing that.
I'm gonna tell my friend
Yeah.
Emily that she's a Zelda speedrunner. She's beaten that game so many times. I'm gonna tell her to do that. See what she
Yeah.
says.
Does the Zelda Notes app show the President Hudson locations? Do we
That's a
know?
good question. You can track a lot of things. I wonder if
Hmm.
that's one of the options because I know you
Yeah.
can track like for like ingredients, shrines, Koroks, things like that. Um, wow, I gotta find out now.
Yeah, I do wonder. Because I assume there's a
Mm.
finite number of signs to fix, right?
Yeah, I've never done them all, but I feel like he's like the guy pops up everywhere I am.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm like, is it the same guy or is there just a bunch of guys that look alike? Or
Lots of twins.
It's a clone army.
uh,
Yeah. Yeah. There's a conspiracy there. Thank you, Trev. That's awesome. Um, I guess we're out of time, to be honest. So we could talk
there's
forever.
never enough time in the podcast.
No, no, but that's awesome. Thank you both very much. Any final thoughts before we do close things off for the week from anyone? No?
Thanks everyone who leaves comments. We always appreciate that. I forget to say it, but I like to read them. So
Yeah, we got one from Jose again during the week. Thank you, Jose. Always consistently gives us comments. We love to read them. Glad you're enjoying your Switch too. Yeah, we want to hear from any of our listeners, so please do leave us a comment. Thank you for tuning in each and every week. If you want more from us, you can head on over to Blue Sky and follow us over there. We have our website at Pure Nintendo, I guess, is the handle. But if you want to check out our website, it's purenintendo.com. And of course, if you'd like to support us and or get a magazine in the mail delivered to you, physical magazine, you can support us on over on patreon.com/pure Nintendo. You can tell them getting to the end of the show, running out of words. But thank you both very much. Thank you, listeners. And until next week, game on, everybody. Bye.
See ya.